Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt. Welcome back, to Far Lands or Bust. Got a little bit of voice crack right there. A little bit of pitch shifting my pitch. Oh, you know what else I have a problem with is no shovel. I'm gonna use my bare fists. Break out of last episode's hidey hole, and then secure it. Boink, boink. Get rid of some unnecessary miscellany. Grab Wolfie. And continue west towards these here far lands in Minecraft Beta 173 for episode 748 of the series for your Thursday, August 1st. Can you believe it? It's already August. I feel like July. Just came and went, and it did, and it has, and now we're going on into August. Of course, I am recording this a day before here on Twitch live. So hello to everybody watching live, and hello to everybody watching or listening to the recorded YouTube or podcast edition. Hello, how are you? I hope you're well. Let's keep on keeping on. And y'all are keeping on donating. Check out that segue to Direct Relief over at farlandsorbust.com. Up to $26,634.50. Farlandsorbust.com is where you can donate through our Tiltify campaign. And through that campaign, you can leave a comment and a question that I will get to in a future episode. And we've been keeping up with the questions as well. It was only a handful of episodes ago that I'd completely run out and was really scrounging for some material. And boy, did you guys suffer through my banal story times and ramblings and musings, didn't you? But yeah, farlandsorbust.com is where you can donate. And our current goal is based on the size of our Farlands or Bust save file. And right now it is 27,787.90 megabytes. So that means we are just a little bit under $1,100 away from reaching the goal to finally, after over 2 years, end season 7 of the series. That's what we're doing. And much appreciated everybody who keeps donating. Let's grab some wool. Yoink. I would go back for that sheep, but really, I'm lazy. But yeah, let's continue on. The Subaru SVX. Did you know I bought a Subaru SVX? I bet you a lot of you don't. I still need to record a video introducing it and kind of making fun of the style of Doug DeMuro's car reviews. Whoa. I mean, this is quite the vista, but I also don't want to fall off and break my vista. I do have a bucket of water. I think this would be the appropriate time to use it. Wolfie, of course, is probably not going to be smart about this. Oh, I almost wasn't smart about this. Oh, hey, you were smart. Look at what we did. I made this. Magical. So yeah, I have a Subaru SVX. And the one problem, well, the most major problem with it is that the radiator had a crack in it. Not in the radiator part of it, but in the top plastic tank. A very frequent problem with the SVX, and honestly, all cars, if they have plastic radiator tanks, once they get over 10, 20 years, those things tend to get brittle and crack and allow coolant to escape. The biggest thing about the Subaru SVX is that it has a very particular and very specific radiator size and style. And there are no aftermarket options Certainly, absolutely none that are just drop in replacements without any sort of major fabrication. So I'd been limping along on just using epoxy sort of plastic. What's it called? JB Weld, which holds up for anywhere between a day to a week before it itself starts cracking. But I was able to find, my girlfriend was able to find and track down for me a radiator from a salvage yard in Colorado. Got it shipped to me, received it, and just this past weekend I finally did the deed. Oh, you know what I should do? Yoink. Did the deed of replacing it. Which is, again, much like with the Toyota Corolla. Didn't anticipate having to replace an entire carburetor. That was not a level of automotive maintenance that I was really prepared for. Also wasn't predicting needing to do a entire radiator swap. But now I have, and it's honestly probably one of the easier things you could do. Granted, you have a proper radiator to plop in, and it's the same style and size and whatever. And it wasn't too bad. Everything was working quite all right. Removing the old radiator, kind of just big Legos. Big Legos. Or Lego. Yeah, took the old one out. I was scared that the new radiator might have been broken. Because it wasn't straight. Like, radiators are like rectangles. This one went a little bit trapezoidal on me. It's a little bit crooked. Either it got kind of bent up and damaged in shipping, or the car it came from was in an accident and it got a little bit sideways. I noticed this because when trying to mount the radiator fans, the holes didn't line up quite right. And then at a distance, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, those aren't right angles on the corners of this rectangle. So I was a little bit worried that would have, compromised. And maybe down the line, there might be some compromises. That it might have compromised the actual aluminum radiator part of the radiator. But I was able to jimmy it in. And it fit, and it went in. I did buy new hoses, new radiator top and bottom hoses. The bottom one was, despite supposedly being made for the Subaru SVX, did not match the correct angles. No matter what I did to trim or shimmy or bend, I just wasn't comfortable with how it was kind of kinking the hose when I tried to fit it. And I'm like, the top one worked fine, but the bottom one, I just used the old one. The old one seemed fine. As it wasn't leaking or anything like that, so I just put the old one in because it fit. The one thing I did replace was the clamps. The clamps were all crappy, so I got some new clamps. Clamped them in, filled it up with coolant, did the whole cycling the coolant throughout the engine and getting rid of air bubbles and things, and it stays cool, doesn't leak. And works fine. Took it on a few drives. Fantastic. So yeah, that's good news. So now, hopefully, I'm still a little bit trepidatious because it's still now it's on my mind. If the radiator was never a problem, I would have never cared to think about it. I mean, honestly, I can't think of any car I've owned where I've thought about the radiator or the coolant. The Cavalier, I never checked the coolant. It's one of those things that you don't worry about unless you see a puddle underneath your car when you're parked or steam rising from the hood. The Crosstrek, never thought about it. But now that it's on my mind with the SVX, it's like, gotta keep an eye. So... yeah, I hopefully am now able to just drive it around as was originally intended, as a kind of a summer cruising car, and I'm happy about that, and I'm looking forward to. I just got done saying how I'm bad at streaming and actually doing my job on a schedule because supposedly all this other life stuff keeps coming up. Just stupid stuff like laundry or getting a contact lens prescription, disposing of engine oil, replacing radiators on cars. Keeps getting in the way of like doing the actual stuff. Oops, that makes me money and allows me to pay rent. But one of the things I do need to do is record that YouTube video, much like I did with the Corolla kind of introductory video. And now that the car isn't leaking, I should supposedly do that and get that out of the way. But until then, let's go to sleep, and we will continue here in the morning. And awakeness. I'm seeing a lot of questions, both in the YouTube videos and even just right here live on Twitch, about the jitteriness. And no, the jitteriness has not increased yet. As you can see, we got the 2 texture pixels. If I can try to do this at the right angle, it stops the offset. Oh, thanks, Wolfie. The offset stops at 2 texture pixels and then resets. The next time it jumps, it's going to jump to 4 texture pixels. That's like a quarter of the way across an entire block. Yeah, it is actually, now that I'm counting it. Stop it! So yeah, still the same as it was. Believe me, I think we'll notice. I think it'll be pretty obvious when the next floating point rounding error happens. Pretty obvious indeed. But until then, let's answer some questions from people who have donated at farlandtobus.com. People like Capybara Cosmonaut. Capybara asks, what are your thoughts on nostalgia? You know what? I should really make a new shovel, because this whole building things to climb is not working out too great. What is your thoughts on nostalgia? Anything, time, or place you are particularly nostalgic for? I recognize the importance of learning from and remembering the past and valuing some things and ideas from it, but I also recognize there are problematic aspects of it as well. I guess I don't have... this isn't anything I've sat down and thought about. Unlike the concept of sondering from that one episode, a few episodes ago, and things like that. Wolfie! Yeah, I suppose there are benefits. Ah! What is happening? Whoa, 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 whoa! I'm out of control! My man is just continually walking. I'm fine. Guess who needs a new keyboard, I guess? What was that all about? Are we good? Okay. No! Oh, that was Wolfie that time. Was that Wolfie the entire time? Dang it! Getting bamboozed. Getting bamboozed by a wolf. I thought, it felt like the W key was stuck. So we'll keep an eye on that. That wouldn't be the worst problem here in Farlands Bus, would it? Hey, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, I did make 3. Okay. Listen. Been a long weekend. I'm nostalgic for when my keyboard used to work. I am having actually some problems. I have the Logitech G whatever RGB keyboard that has all the different colored lights. I am noticing that on some of the buttons, the RGB, specifically the B, has failed. The blue LED, because I have, as a default, all my keys set to be like this turquoise blue, and then there's some of them that are just green. Just because there's no blue light anymore, so it doesn't show. It just shows as green instead of blue. So I'm like looking at my keyboard. I'm like, why would I have let the letter I be a different color? No, it's just because the actual RGB has failed. Which again, an unnecessary complication as far as a keyboard is concerned. Flashy graphics and colors. But at the same time, as long as it doesn't actually impact the function of a keyboard, not that big a deal. Nostalgia. I mean, like, here's a good example, or at least an example that I literally just thought of, and it's good because it's the only example I have. Look at this. Oh, well, it's less impressive now that I see it's part of a cave, but I thought it was just a cube that was taken out of this mountain. Woof. The nostalgia as far as it is concerned with cars, car nostalgia. Someone like myself can be nostalgic even for cars and a period of automotive history that I didn't even live through. Oh man, cars used to be designed so interesting. They used to be so big and have like flares and whether it be the 50s, 60s or whatever. You could be nostalgic for that sort of stuff and want to even own an old car. But I also recognize that those cars were horrible as cars. They drove horribly. They were incredibly inefficient and caused a lot of pollution and other problems. They were horribly unsafe. Many of them didn't even have seatbelts. No such thing as crumple zones. And I've even heard people say, like, oh, they don't make them like they used to, because when you get in a crash in a modern car, it, is total. It folds upon itself, but that's what it's designed to do. It is designed to take the impact versus your fleshy, soft bones and organs. So yeah, there's I could see nostalgia for old cars, the aesthetic, but I myself pretty much keep that at surface level. I'm not nostalgic then for the times around it, because like, oh, the 50s, 60s, oh yeah, those times where certain people were made to use different drinking fountains, or this war, that war, whatever was going on in the world at the time. It's difficult to be 100% like nostalgic without, like I said, oh, these cars are so cool. They're also horrible. They're also just very bad. They're cool and can be cool, they could be had for fun and nostalgic purposes, but it would be bad if we went back to a time when everybody was driving around in 5,000-pound V8 death machines. So yeah, I think that might be what you mean, Capybara, about nostalgia, I suppose. We could even be nostalgic for times before the internet or smartphones. Oh, everybody's on their smartphones. Oh, everybody has their information that's being taken by these monopolistic corporations, and it's being twisted to affect democratic processes across the world. Oh, all these things. But at the same time, it can't be undone. There were certain detriments to living in a world without any of these things. Like you think about, like you can even watch movies that were made in like the 90s or prior, and how many of these movies' plots would be completely ruined if anybody just had a cell phone and could have like called for help or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of it is a weird concept. Like I said, it's not something I've actually like thought about. I'm sure there's complete studies and schools of thought related to the human nostalgic brain. But then again, humans aren't necessarily aren't necessarily, what's the word I'm looking for? Sensical? They aren't exactly always, man, what is that word I'm looking for, Wolfie? What if I give you a treat? Will you let me know what it is? Rational. Thanks, Wolfie. Rational. I mean, I'll put myself in that bucket. I like old cars. I have the old cars that I have, and I like auto racing and things like that. But I'm also, one of my primary concerns is the environment and global warming and emissions and oil corporations and governments and et cetera, et cetera. So there's definitely a conflict of rationality that I can recognize even in myself. And yes, that also applies to nostalgia and whatnot. But yeah, that, I think, answers that, right, Capybara? Indeed. Woo! Maya! Has I already answered this one? This is tough, that I get to the point where I'm like, did I answer this one? I can't remember. But Maya! I say Maya because there's 5 A's at the end of Maya. Asks, do you ever stargaze or look at things through a telescope or anything like that? If so, what's the best/prettiest thing you've ever seen? I've answered this question many times before. I don't as much anymore. I used to, because I used to belong to a astronomy club back when I lived in Illinois. And I don't anymore. I still have one telescope at one time I had 3 or so. But I haven't taken it out recently. My girlfriend wants to. She's never looked through a telescope, but it's difficult in Washington because A, there's not much dark skies until you get into the boonies, and B, there's so many trees blocking the views. Let's go to sleep. And awakeness. And continuing on. So yeah, but even it was a clear day the other day, and she asked if, I pointed out Jupiter in the sky. Oh, can we look through your telescope? Just put it on your porch or whatever. I'm like, there's no window to the sky from even my porch. There's large pine trees and then a building, my building right behind it. I'd have to take it out to some park or something like that. And then that involves packing things up and then dealing with members of the public being curious. And nuts to stoking curiosity in the public. So yeah, it's another one of those things like my DSLR with my telescope. I'm like, I haven't used this in years. Should I just sell this? Let's get one more thing out of my house. Should I just sell it and then be okay, done with that? And maybe if I do ever find myself in a place or with a schedule that allows to get back involved in the hobby, then actually consider getting back into it. So yeah, yes, I have. What's the best, prettiest thing you've ever seen? There's so much. The one that usually takes, if they've never looked through a telescope, Saturn, and seeing Saturn's rings, and seeing it with your own eyes, and oh, that's live. That's not a picture from Hubble or whatever, but I'm seeing that with my eyes. That's very amazing and very cool. Even Jupiter, seeing the moons of Jupiter cast shadows on the surface. I always like those sorts of things that give you a sense of depth and perspective, because otherwise the universe, looking through a telescope, everything looks fairly non-changing and flat. So to see things moving in a 3D world in orbits is a pretty amazing thing. But yeah, I know I've also been following, I think he might have abandoned it, or at least his initial interest has waned. But Justin, HC Justin, got a telescope and has been trying to like be able to like hook cameras up to it or like live stream it and stuff like that. And that's a whole rabbit hole that I thankfully have been able to avoid. I knew from the get-go that if once you even just try to start taking pictures through a telescope, you get into that astrophotography, and then you're like, oh, all I need is this adapter. Oh, I just need a second adapter. Oh, I guess they make dedicated, dedicated cameras specifically for telescopes. I'll just buy one of those. Oh, I guess I need this special software. Oh, I guess I need a secondary tracking telescope and automated mount and tripod so that I can stabilize my images and stack them properly. You know, it's and then pretty soon you're in up to your nose in parts and $20,000 worth of equipment that you know you start spending hours and hours editing and tracking and traveling to dark sites and trying to find the stablest air and, you know, whatever. I'm like, I'm pretty good. I'll stick with the eyeball observations. Thank you very much. Yep, might as well just build an observatory. How does a retractable roof work? But yeah, that is that. So yeah, I was quite into it. Honestly, a cool thing that I did see was I was setting up in Illinois at a dark site for one of our astronomy club kind of star parties, I guess you could call them. And it was still just dusk, but the International Space Station was making a pass. So I set up my telescope to watch it, and then I hand-tracked the International Space Station, and being able to see it and like the solar panels rotating as I was watching it fly overhead. And very haphazardly trying to follow as it went very, very fast overhead through my telescope. That was pretty cool. I mean, that was wild. Because otherwise, it's just a solid, bright point of light. But through a telescope, or even like high-powered binoculars, you can start to see structure of it. But that was cool. Indeed. George, or Jorge? Either or, asks, how is Snarky Yellow Text enjoying his retirement? He was one of my favorite parts of the original team. He's fired, he's done, he's through, he'll never work in this industry again. No, I don't, like I've mentioned Snarky Yellow Text many, many times. And it's one of those, yes, it was very difficult to be able to spend extra time editing Snarky Yellow Text. And Snarky Yellow Text, I will have you know, is and has been in every single episode of Far Lands or Bust. Even the previous episode, even this episode. The actual Snarky Yellow Text starts off every episode with the woof of Wolfie. That is the Snarky Yellow Text inclusion that I would then just copy and paste anytime I wanted it to say anything different and then type in something different other than woof. So, little did you know, little bit of trivia there for you, Far Lands or Bust trivia. Yeah, it's just yellow Helvetica, I think, or am I using Verdana? I don't even remember anymore. In all caps. But yeah, it's one of those things, one of those evolutions of the series. Evolutions of the series that, are you nostalgic for it? Perhaps you would like to discuss your thoughts on nostalgia in related to earlier episodes of Far Lands or Bust? Cavalera! Dang, Screwball, what are you doing? Am I doing all right? Murder! Ooh, got him. Nice. Sean, S-H-A-U-N, one of the many ways to spell Sean, has asked, hey, Kurt, hey, have you been watching PewDiePie play Minecraft, and would you collaborate with him on an episode? No and no. And never. I hope that there's no audience overlap between... Whoa! That was weird. I placed the boat and fell into it instantaneously. I was not expecting that. No. I hope that there's no audience overlap there. Statistically speaking, there might be. I didn't even know he's playing Minecraft anymore. I think I've honestly blocked his channel on YouTube. And I hope that, let's just say, your tastes are different. Let's just hope that all of your tastes are different than that. Because that is not the type of content or the type of person that I align myself with ever. I did my dad was visiting, and he was saying how my nephew Goober watches my YouTube videos, but then also watches somebody else with purple hair who screams a lot, which, you know, narrows it down to like 47 YouTubers with over 1 million subscribers. But and I'm like, ugh. That's not good. Perhaps keep an eye on the message that this YouTuber is spreading, so that Goober doesn't end up on some nefarious website. But yeah, let's say no and never. I am not at all ever interested in that, and I honestly have no interest in even knowing what he's up to. Why does he still even have a YouTube channel after the many things that have transpired? Because he's earning YouTube money, and that's all they care about. Indeed. So yeah, no. So yeah, no. But thank you for the donation to Direct Relief, Sean, and for watching Far Lands or Bust. I have many, many other YouTube friends who play Minecraft who I would like to suggest instead of one PewDiePie. Vintage Beef, for example, a very wholesome Minecraft YouTuber. It looked like BOO is back on the YouTube Minecraft game. Even our friend Cone Dodger is much more active on the Mindcrack server than most all other actual Mindcrack members, myself included. So yeah, many other options for you to enjoy. Right now, the option to watch Far Lands or Bust is nearing an end, because this is the end of the episode. Woof! And I do appreciate everybody for watching and all these donations coming in. Remember, we're only a little bit under $1,100 until we reach this episode's goal. With every episode, the goal changes, because the megabytes, the size of the world, changes. So we're currently at $27,787 is what we're looking for. farlandsorbust.com. Donate to the grand cause of Direct Relief charity. Get us closer to that goal. Much appreciated. Don't forget also about the Twitch channel. You yourself could be one of 127 people watching this episode of Far Lands or Bust live, instead of having to wait a whole 24 hours to watch it on YouTube or to listen to the podcast edition. So twitch.tv/KurtJMac. I swear, I'm getting more frequent and regular with my streams, he says, after accidentally taking a 4-day weekend. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, man. But yeah, much appreciated, everybody. My name is Kurt. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time. Perhaps you would like to discuss your thoughts on nostalgia?